So, hello everyone. Today I will be talking about the measures of central tendency. I will explain you what is central tendencies, what are the measures, and all that. So, let's begin with that. So, about the introduction of measure of central tendency, the word measure of central tendency is itself coined by the two combination of two words. It's measure and the central tendency. Measure means the method, and central tendency means the average value of any of the series. Statistical series. So now one minute. So thus we can say that central tendency means the method of finding out the central value or average value of a statistical series of quantitative information. Basically, there are three means of central tendency of measuring central tendency. There are mean, median, and so why to calculate central tendency? It is very important that why we need to calculate the central tendency. Because calculating it provides the overall picture of the data set, that is the number of observations or the samples. It is very popular in the manufacturing industries, all these things. So it also provides us with the description of data set and also helps in comparison of two or more data sets. That is, if you want to differentiate between the two samples, that what is the difference between its diameters and all that. So the central tendency measures help in doing this. Nowadays every big organization, like you can say Nike, then it is McDonald's, and all these big organizations, this uses this statistical quality control tools. There is a software called as Minitab. So it is a this type of statistical quality control tool, and it has partnered with various big organizations, and this tool helps in solving their problems, that is reducing their downtime, how to increase the profits and all these things. So move on. So this is a very important picture. It will tell you about the three major means of statistical quality control. That is the mean, median, and mode. What is mean? What is median and mode? So here you are seeing that it is a weightless rod is there. There is a fulcrum point here. So here the fulcrum point which you see is the mean. So it is the center value, we can say. Then this observations which are clubbed, they are the we can say that they are the mode, that is the observations are repeating of frequency. Here in this picture, you can see that the frequency, that is mode, is 4 because these four observations are repeating. So we can see that this is the mode, and the medium is the center value, that is 8 observations are lying on this side and other 8 observations are lying on this side. So it is the median. And this is a case of bimodal, that is two modes, that is the two different observations are having the same frequency, means they are repeating same number of times. So here it is case of bimodal. So this is a beautiful representation of mean. So starting off with the mean is equals to the all of you know what is mean. It is equals to the sum of values in the data set divided by the number of values in the data set. So if we have n values in data set, and here are the values x1, x2, x3, so the sample mean is denoted by this, and it is based on all the observations data set. So what are the merits of calculating mean? Why do we calculate it mean? What information does it give? It is based on all the observations. That is in median and mode. Afterwards, we will see that it does not take into account all the observations of the data set. But here mean takes into account each and every value of the data set. So it is this is the advantage. It is being least affected by fluctuation. It is called as it is mean is stable stable in comparison to mode and median. Further measures of dispersion also means if you want to calculate standard deviation, variance, and all other statistical various things, then you require mean as a basic parameter. Then you can determine these parameters like standard deviation and all that. And the other thing, that is it is very easier to calculate. Just sum it up and divide by number of. So I'll start, what are the demerits of calculating mean? So we have talked about the merits. Now we will talk about the demerits. There are these three main are the demerits, and we take an example of a shaft manufacturing company. Here I have mentioned shaft manufacturing company, and I will example the demerits on the basis of this. So shaft manufacturing company, the manufacturer has assigned that the shaft should have dimensions. The upper limit of shaft should be 36 and the lower limit of the shaft should be 35.2. So here the observation, they have in the inspection department, they take sample observations. So in sample 1 these 5 observations were taken, and in sample 2 these 5 observations were taken. So the first demerit, that is it is affected by extreme observation. Likewise, here you can see that in sample 1 the mean of sample 1 is 35.5. Also the mean of sample 2 is 35.5. Also the in sample 1 all the values which you are seeing lies in the tolerance range, but in sample 2 only 36 is the value which is lying in the that is the range which is mentioned by the manufacturer. Though mean which is coming, that is 35.5, it is lying in the tolerance range. So if we see that mean is 35.5, so yes, this sample is okay, but it is not for sure. Extreme observations like 38 and 34, they are rendering, that means they are they are taking the mean in the wrong direction. All observations here you can see they are not lying in this range, though it is giving the mean 35.5 which is equals to the sample 1. So extreme observations affect this, so this should not be there. So now moving on to the second, cannot differentiate the samples based on mean value. Likewise, I have talked that both the mean of sample 1 and sample 2 are same, but you can see that the dimension measurements are totally different. Here it is between, you can see that 35.2 to 36, and it is here it is between 34.2 to 38. So though their mean is same and it is lying in the tolerance range, but here from sample to only one, that is 36, will be taken by the manufacturer, and other all have to be discarded. So it does not give, you cannot differentiate samples based on mean value, we cannot differentiate. The third is it might give a value which is not present in the sample. Like in sample 1 mean is 35.5 and we have it in the observation, so it is okay. But in sample 2 we are calculating mean as 35.5, but 35.5, it is 35.5, it is not present in these observations. So it is a observation which is not lying, it is not the observation, mean is not the observation here, so value is not present in the sample. Moving on to the, so demerits of a continued. Here sometimes mean gives a value which is not possible for the given sample. So here we take an example, like if we are measuring a component with the help of vernier caliper or a micrometer whose least count is 0.01 mm. Then in our lab sessions we did this, and we have a practice that we measure the single component many number of times, and at the last we take the average, that is nothing but the mean. So here I have tabulated that I have taken this number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 observations and calculated the mean. The mean comes out to be 34.721666. So here we can see that the mean value is absurd because a micrometer which we have chosen has a least count of 0.01 mm. So how can it measure this number 34.72? It cannot measure, any instrument cannot measure a reading less than their least count. So this mean value has no physical significance. So now moving on to the median part. The median is the value of the middle observation of the series arranged in ascending or descending order in such a way that it divides the series into two equal parts. When the number of observations is odd, then median is calculated by this formula, and when it is even, it is calculated by this formula. We'll see. Here the number of observations are odd. So we have the formula n plus 1 by 2th observation. That is number of observation plus 1 divided by 2th observation. So it accounts to be the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th observation. We get the value. And the value corresponding to the 7th observation is 12. So 12 becomes the median here. And if the number of observations are even, then we have the formula n by 2th observation plus n by 2 plus 1th observation, that is divided by 2, and that is here the number of, so we get 29 plus 27 divided by 2, so we are getting a value that is 28. So this will be our median for when the number of observations. The merits of calculating median, it has no effect of extreme observation in its value. Like in mean, it was having effect of observations, extreme observations. We are not having. We'll see this with this example. Here you can see that the median of these two different observations I have taken. Here you can see that here the extreme value is 69 and here the extreme value is 112, which is very much large as compared to 69. Though both are having different extreme values, but the median, that is 46, for both is same. So it is not affected by the extreme observations in its value. Second, it is calculated when the center or the middle value of the sample is desired. one can know if additional observation value, yes, if there is an additional observation and it is not a part of tabulated form, but if you want to see that whether this observation is above the median or below the median, then you can easily say that where it lies. To find median, all observations are not required, yes. Likewise here in the table, if you know that you have arranged all these observations in the ascending or the descending order, then if you are not having this 35 or if you are not having this 54, though you know that it is in this position, it is of no value. We just will know the order, that is the number of observation, that is the whether it is sixth observation or seventh observation. Also, median is required to calculate when the data is highly skewed. Median is preferred over mean. That is, we will see in the next slide what it tells. In a skewed data, in a skewed data distribution, here you can see this distribution is a skewed data distribution. The outliers, or we can say that extreme observations are there. When extreme observations are there, it is called as a skewed distribution. It is not uniform. It is not uniform. The bell shaped curve, it is not uniform. It is on the extreme left side. So here you can say that the outliers, that is the extreme observations, tail pull the mean away from the center towards the longer tail. Here the mean should lie somewhere around here, but it is taking away the mean to the left hand side. And so here the median better represents the central tendency. Here the median is required. So this is the representation of the US household national income for 2006 data. So as you know that and this is divided into ranges. So you are telling, so we can see that here already we know that in terms of income, that when people earn, the people who earn less income are more in number, and the people who earn more income, like these are the representatives of value, they are less in number. So it is obvious that frequency here, this height represents the frequency, that is the number of person, number of people earning income in this range, that is the breadth of this bar. You can see it represents the range of income, and this height represents, that is the people that are earning this income. So income is medium. Here the mean and median differ by over 9,000. Here it is mentioned. So the median indicates half of the all incomes fall below 27,581, and half are below about it. So here you can estimate it, whereas the mean overestimates the most household income. So demerits of calculating median. When the observations are too much, it is a tedious task to arrange them in ascending or descending order. It is must to arrange them in ascending or descending order. And in case when the number of observations, you may get even number of observations, then you may get a value which is not present in the data set. Like in the example we saw that we were getting to values 26, 27, and its average was some 25 and 27, its average was something about 26. So it was not in the observation. So it's there. So now mode, it is very important for statistical quality control types. Like mode is the most frequently occurring value in the sample. So here it is a set of observations. You can see here 5 is occurring 3 times. The frequency is 3, we can say. Here 4 is occurring, observation 4 is occurring 2 times. Frequency we can say 2. So and here the 2, number 2, observation 2 is occurring 2 times. So its frequency is 2. But 5 is having the highest frequency. That is, it is this observation is occurring 3 times. Therefore, this becomes the mode. The value 5 becomes the mode. So merits of calculating mode. It is not affected by extreme observations such as in mean. Mean is affected. Mean is affected by extreme observations. We have seen that mode can be historically graphically through histogram or frequency. We will see in the later part. In case when no two observations are same, then mode may be determined by arranging observations into classes. This also we will see in the next part of the slide. It can be located just by inspection. It can be located just by inspection in any ungroup data. Yes, you can see the observations that that if the number 5 is repeating 10 number of times, then you can easily determine. You need not to be group the data and all that. The mode is the only measure of sentences, then you can use it with categorical data. Likewise, if you visit any shop, then you must have seen this kind of representation like customer feedback. So these are nothing but the observations, and when the customer clicks, the frequency of these 5 observations increases. So like extremely satisfied, if it is punched for 10 different times, its frequency increases to 10. So these are the observations, and when you punch it, its frequency increases. So it is very easy for categorical. Here, the thing which I said I will talk. So here is a manufacturing company. So frequency distribution of outer diameter of yoke for stop valve. So this in manufacturing, it is not possible that the frequency will match of the observation. That is, one object will be produced like 12.84 mm, then other will be 12.85 mm. It will be rarely possible that two components will be produced like by 12.84 and all that. So in these cases, this type of cases, we divide them into intervals. Like the outer, here we have divided into the frequency distribution outer diameter range class interval. So if we are getting 47.71 as diameter, 47.72 as diameter, and 47.73 as diameter, we will group in this and increase the frequency. That is one. So here the one mentions that only one observation is lying in this range. So likewise it is plotted. So here it is 20. Here you can see that 21. So here we can see that 20, from 47.85 to 47.85, most of the components, that is the diameter of the yoke, most of the diameter of yoke, it is present in this range, because 21 total yokes which we have measured, it is lying, its dimension is lying in this range out of 100. So it gives us the information that the observations cluster around the central value, that is 47.87 mm. Here what I mentioned, that it is clustered in this range. So the values are spread roughly symmetrical around the central value. Like in medium, we have seen that data is skewed, but in this case, in this observation, the data will not be skewed, because mm, the values are spread symmetrical around the central value. That is around the 21, it is symmetrically spread. That is gradually decreasing, 18, 13 to 6 to 1. Here also it is gradually decreasing, 16, 20, 12 and all that. So it will be a proper bell shaped curve, and not be its tail will not be towards any end. So the third, that is small deviations from central value are more frequent than the large. So here you can see these 21 diameters are lying in this range. Then if you reduce the diameter by 1 mm, that is 47.84, then it will be lying in this range. So small deviations are more frequent, because it is 18 total. You can say that 18 diameters are in this range. And as you go far away from the central value, you will find that these are not frequent, these diameters are not frequent, and also we don't want it to be frequent. So here it is plotted, histogram is plotted based on the previous observations, and here is the frequency curve for the data of observations of the youth. You can see the width represents the range interval and the height represents the frequency. Thank you. Demerits of calculating mode. When two or more observations of class are having the same frequency, that is, we have observation 5, we have observation whose value is 5, and other observation value is 9. And if 5 is occurring for 10 times and 9 is also occurring for 10 times, so we cannot differentiate both. So this is one of the demerits. Then the application of measure of central tendency in pipe manufacturing. Central tendency is applied in manufacturing industries. We will discuss that. It is a, I mean, in manufacturing, it is a thumb rule that no two products can be similar. Always manufacturing done with some permissible tolerances. Always the tolerance values are mentioned, in the drawings itself. So variation in product dimensions are due to the two causes, that is due to the chance causes, and the second is due to the assignable causes. Chance causes are generally inherent, difficult to identify, uneconomical to eliminate, and follow statistical laws. Assignable causes may be man-made or can be due to the machine, something like that, can be identified, can be eliminated due to the few individual causes they are resulting. And we can see the overshooting value, so we can easily predict also. So here our aim is to control the quality of pipe in this particular what we are seeing through checking and observing the pipe's height. So here we use the X bar mean control chart is developed from the data taken. So here data taken, X bar mean control chart is plotted, which is the use of the mean values. And in data collection there were 15 samples. 15 samples are taken with 5 sample sizes each. So here the data for the height of the pipe in feet at 15 samples. These are the 15 samples, and in each sample 5 observations of different were taken. So here you can see that this x bar, it is the mean of these 5 values, that is x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 plus x5 divided by 5. If the value comes out to be this. So likewise we have calculated x bar for all these observations for 15. These are, and total of these all, that is the sigma x bar, is comes out to be this. And when you divide the sigma x bar divided by 15, that is the total number of samples, you will get mean of means, that is x double bar. We'll see in the next slide. And here I have calculated range, that is in this particular from x1 x2 x3, what is the difference between the maximum size and the minimum size. Here you can see that the minimum is 4.998 and the maximum is 5.007. So I have taken out the range and I have plotted for all the 15. And this is the sigma r, that is the total of all these values. So it comes out to be 0.11. Then x double bar, what I told, that is it is the x bar divided by 15, that is number, it comes up to be this. Then r bar divided by 15, the total rn which I have calculated divided by this comes out to be this. These three values are very important for plotting x bar, that is the upper control limit and lower control limit. Control limit is nothing but x double bar itself. Upper control limit can be found out by this formula, that is x double bar plus a2 r bar. R bar we have calculated, x double bar we have calculated, mean of means we have calculated, and a2 is a constant. Here I have mentioned, which is tabulated on the basis of various sample size of our chart. So putting the values, we get the upper control limit, lower control limit at this. We can see this is the x bar chart of height of pipe. So we have taken in total 15 into 5, that is 75 number of observations. But here we are plotting only 15. That means we are plotting the means of each sample. Now, for sample 1, this would be the mean, and likewise we are plotting. This is the sample mean, and this is the sample, that is 15. So we are plotting. This is the control limit, this is the upper control limit, and this is the lower control limit. It gives we can see that no observation is above upper control limit and lower control limit. So the process is in control, we can. Here it is, this is the eye chart. Well, all the 75 observations which we have calculated, it is plotted. So, and this chart is very important, that is zone chart of height of pipe. Here also, as in the previous chart, only the 15 sample sizes, that is the means, are plotted. But here these also are divided into these horizontal parts. They are nothing but the standard deviation control areas. Standard deviation control areas. So conclusion from the chart and the interferences from this chart. So from this chart, it is very easy to identify the products which are accepted and rejected. Like I mentioned that if it is above the upper control limit and lower than the lower control limit, then it can be rejected. Yeah, also in particular process, all points in chart we are plotting it, and means you can say that process is under control condition. So also the X bar chart becomes cyclic due to the systematic environmental changes. Here the value variations which we were seeing in the chart were due to chance causes, we can say, that is due to the temperature change, operator fatigue, regular rotation of operators or machines, or fluctuation in voltages or pressure on some other variable. From the sample mean zone control chart, from the sample mean control zone control chart, which was very important, previous I discussed, we see that all the points in the chart are inside the first standard deviation control area. First standard deviation control area, it is very important. If it is not in the in these deviation control areas, then we need to check whether what parameters are going wrong in our production process, and we need to check and bring it back to the desired position which is feasible. If it would be other zone, then it would be a warning to us that please check it, that whether what deviation we are getting and what is wrong with the process parameters. Also using the quality control chart, we can predict the source of variation, that is what is the source of variation, what are the assignable causes that are overshooting the values of the means, then understand the process by business process mapping and eliminate the assignable causes. We can also eliminate the assignable causes I have mentioned. Are the references. from where we have taken the information. Thank you for patiently listening to our this video on central tendency.